Hey guys, I got no other than the Joel Helfer here. Actually, he's coming on to the Money Mindset Chronicles today, and Joel actually runs from the streets of the Main Street Mavericks radio. So he's actually been a partner in a multi-million-dollar glass business. The guy didn't actually even know he had created the authority on the business because he was running an authority in the marketing and advertising business. And by doing so, he literally created the Hall of Fame for the Glass and Metal Hall of Fame. He actually grew his business because he was handing out candy to strangers. So Joel, I gotta hand it to you, man. You have quite the story on how you got that business off the ground and what you did to get it running. And I look forward to sharing that with us today, so our listeners can take away some of the golden nuggets that you've actually handed out over the years.
Thanks very much, Daryl, for having me on your show. I appreciate it very much.
You're welcome, brother. So how did you get started in entrepreneur? That's one of the key questions I always ask everybody. Everybody's kind of got to get a different story about how they got started. What was that point? Because as an entrepreneur, you're going out and they're like, hey, I'm going to, you take this idea you have, you turn it into income. What was the first idea you had around entrepreneurship and how did you get started?
My first idea as an entrepreneur, I was about 10 years old, and I decided to sell greeting cards and to the neighbors to make some extra money because I wanted a special bicycle. So the whole deal was a $50 investment, which my father fronted. And I went out in the neighborhood door to door to sell greeting cards. And I never realized that I was trying to sell greeting cards. We were Jewish, and these were Christmas cards. So it was pretty hard to sell Christmas cards in a Jewish area. But I ended up I found a area where they had that particular religion, which is about a mile away. And I went there and I sold about $65 worth of greeting cards. So I made this huge profit of $15. But actually my father never asked me to give him the $50 back. So my first venture into the world of business was a $65 profit. I sold about 20 orders of greeting cards. That's how it all started. Pretty funny.
So Joe's got a couple golden nuggets there. Sometimes if you can use other people's money, it's always helpful, right? And number two, make sure you know your market. If you're marketing, Christmas cards, essentially the Jewish people. There's obviously a marketing message there. It's not matching up with market. So Joe, I appreciate you sharing that. So fast forward a few years now, you got the business. You did 40 years in the glass business.
Yeah, well,
I was literally shattered everything over there. And tell me some of the golden nuggets you picked up along the way.
I was fortunate that we had a very good, smart business family. My father and uncle were very aggressive, and they went into all the different facets of the glass industry. And we had an interesting family because we not only worked together, but we lived together in a 2-flat where everybody lived in the same home. My uncle and my aunt and my grandma lived upstairs, and we all lived downstairs. Everybody worked together, played together. So it wasn't a business, it was a way of life. And what they did is every time a new opportunity came up in our industry, they invested in it. And they kept reinvesting and reinvesting. And we were manufacturers, distributors, installers, and distributors. So we were in all facets of our industry. And then because we had so many different clients, I decided one day to get them together on a social basis. So I sat down on my kitchen table and I created this association out of thin air. I just called it the Illinois Glass Association, and I made myself the president, which is called Manufactured Authority. And I went to a printer and I printed some business cards because in those days that was the only way to get anything done. There were real printers in those days. They're kind of dying by the wayside. And I printed up some business cards, and I had my secretary send out an invitation. We invited 50 of our customers to dinner. They're all good customers, so it was no problem to pay for it. And the whole purpose of the dinner was to introduce this association, which we did. And I gave them all a membership card, and I says, now you're members of the Illinois Glass Association. But what they liked about it was the first opportunity to get to network with other people in their industry who they always talked to over the phone but never had a chance to see. So they loved it. The next month, we had about 100 people come. Now we got a group going. And the third month, I get a call from one of my suppliers, and he's really mad at me. And he says, I'm really upset with you. And I says, uh-oh, what did I do wrong? He says, you started this association. I said, yeah, it's working pretty good. He said, good. He said, everybody's talking about you all over the city. That's all there is. And he says, the next meeting, I want to pay for dinner. I want to be the big shot. It's a true story. It's a big supplier. I said, okay, you can pay for dinner. He says, can I bring some of my people and talk a little bit about what we do? I said, sure. Can I bring some literature? I said, yeah, whatever you want. So now, all of a sudden, after 3 months, now people are lining up to participate in this group I created out of thin air. And the whole reason for it was just to have fun. And we ran this group almost 20 years with golf outings, dinner dances for the women. We had to include the women because they wanted to know what their husbands are doing every month. And it turned into a thing that not only put our industry together on a nice basis, but it gave us like the true expert status in our industry just because we were doing something good. We weren't looking for anything in return. It was just something for fun. And what happened is people got to know us so well that when we went in to do business, we became friends with these people, and they'd spend 15, 20, 30 minutes talking to us about nothing. And then after a while, they say, hey, what do you come in here for anyways? And I say, oh, yeah, I got something I want to show you. And the sales part was maybe like 5 minutes at the most. And when I get back to my office, I get order after order after order. And a lot of it was because we provided a vehicle for them to have fun. And by doing it, we created an authority position for ourselves, not even realize what we were doing. So that's a really, wow. So it shows you that if you're in an industry and you create some type of a group, they call it meetup groups now, but I don't like those so much. A specific group, and you are willing to invest a little money at the beginning, you get a tremendous return. The return was like, I can't even calculate how much money we made from this association. It was
create a $5 multi-million company.
That was, so it was part of it because of the relationships we built with not only the customers, but the suppliers, which is very important. People overlook their suppliers sometimes, which is just as important as having a relationship with the customers. And the combination was great.
Let's talk about that for a minute. There's some gold nuggets that you kind of laid in there. So the first thing is you created something. First of all, you had an idea and you saw the idea, and then you actually took action on it. You know, because there's all kinds of people out there that come up with ideas. I mean, I had the idea for creating this podcast, and I was like, you know what? And then I was like, it's time to just do it. So I don't know what I'm doing, you know, but I'm just like, I'm going to interview some amazing people like yourself who have these amazing knowledge to transfer onto the world. So, and just bringing that to the table. And here it is, you create an idea, you took action on it, number one. And then number two, you created something of fun, right? And it was in the essence of, let's bring everybody together. Let's just talk, have fun, you know, network and be around each other. So just this association, now all of a sudden, other people are finding out about it. And then now number three, you got other people to pay for it at this point, right? And they're mad at you because you're not letting them like come pay for it, you know? So again, three different like little angles there you actually leveraged in. And because you're the creator, it's like if I created the NFL, right? And then I can create the Hall of Fame, right? Well, because I'm the owner of it, then you're automatically the authority of that program.
And it's real authority. And then when people want to find out, who do I go talk to in your industry, your name is the first one that comes up, which is what you want.
Yeah, which is positioning in itself. So it doesn't matter what industry. You did this in the glass industry. The glass
any industry.
Any industry whatsoever. And people do this all the time for, I mean, for any kind of different industry that's out there. A friend of mine did this. He created an association around guns. And just out of thin air, he's like, just create association. And all of a sudden now they have symposiums and people are showing up and they're just all excited. And you know what they're talking about? Guns, right?
Of course. Well, that's all they know how to talk about. The best thing we did is when we started to include the women. And what happened is that we've been running this for about a year. And my wife wants to know, what is going on at these meetings? What are you guys talking about? I said, okay, let's have a Valentine's Day party. So we picked out a nice restaurant in Chicago at the time. It happened to be Michael Jordan opened up a new restaurant, and everybody wanted to go. You know, he's big in Chicago. So we made a Valentine's Day party at Michael Jordan's restaurant. Well, the venue attracted everybody aside from what we were doing because everybody wanted to go to a new restaurant, you know, see what's going on. So we went there. We had a nice party. We had some entertainment. We had some music. And I didn't even realize it, but a partner in one of the glass business was a member of the Chicago Bears. His name was Kevin Butler. And he shows up. I didn't even know he's coming with pictures, and he's passing out autographed pictures of himself. And he starts talking. And then in the middle, he invites a couple of his other buddies, and in walks Richard Dent. Now, if you know anything about Chicago football, in those days, those were the big noises from the Super Bowl team.
Yeah.
So from nothing, we end up with this real nice party with celebrities who just happened to be there. It wasn't anything that I did on purpose, but everybody thought I did. So we got so that's where these events take on a life of their own. You just never know what's going to happen. But if you do it for the right reason, good things happen. So then once we made this Valentine's Day party, it became an annual thing. And people actually would fly in from other parts of the country just to go to this Valentine's Day party. Can you believe this? And we got coverage. Yeah. We got coverage from the national magazines and the national associations because they got a kick out of the way we were doing it. And I ended up getting articles in the national magazines. I got national recognition and all of this stuff. And it all started from an idea I had sitting at my kitchen table, never expecting any of this to happen. It just happened.
So let's look at some of the gold nuggets there. You had the idea, first of all, to do it around Valentine's Day. So you dovetailed off of something that was already going on. So it could have been St. Patty's Day. Could have been the 4th of July party. It could have been any party that's already going on there.
Just a holiday, which is a reason where people get together anyways. And we just gave them another way of having fun on a particular holiday where they're going out anyways.
Yeah, you give people an excuse to get together and hang out, drink beer, and partake in beverages. And, you know, it's real easy to do that, especially in the construction business.
Well, you don't need an excuse to have fun. But we actually fed them, gave them food and entertainment. We made a whole party out of it. And people liked it because it was with people they enjoyed being with.
Yeah, and you made something that was fun, and then you made it even more fun by picking a strategic location that if people wanted to go to anyway and actually check out. So, you know, they dovetailed into that as well. So, I mean, if you think about that, possibly in your own city or town or somewhere that's actually, you know, out there, something that's going on that's going to be happening where it would be cool to kind of go see and do anyway, then now it's another reason. It's like you're stacking the deck on all the reasons why you need to be there. Then on top of that, you have people from the Super Bowl show up.
And the funny part of it is the way we held this organization together was with a one-page newsletter that I typed single space and sent out on a fax machine. And I folded this thing in half and put a stamp on it. It was probably the worst produced publication in the history of journalism. It was terrible. But it was terrible. But what was good
That's funny.
What was good about it is I kept putting in private and personal news of as many people as I could find. Like if somebody got married, if somebody had a child who made a baseball team, or they graduated from college or high school, or God forbid somebody died, whatever personal information, that's all I put in there. It was like a gossip column, but they loved it. There was no business at all. It was just like, hey, did you know this guy's doing this, or this guy plays golf, or this guy likes to do this, or this kid graduated from school, or this kid's son just hit a home run and won the baseball game. This is the stuff I used to write about. It had absolutely nothing to do with the glass business, but people loved it. As a matter of fact, one month I was out of town and I forgot to write it. I was getting calls. Where's the newsletter? Come on, where's your newsletter? I got to see what's going on this month. So that just shows you that if you take business to a personal level and you completely forget about business, you do a lot of business. I don't know how to describe it any other way, but if you just forget about the fact your clients, make them your friends. Talk about things like you would talk about if you're having lunch or dinner with your buddy or your cousin. Don't even talk about business. It'll come. And they know why you're there. They understand what you do for a living. They got it. But if you don't talk about it, it'll come. And most people make the mistake of, what's in it for me, and you got to buy this, and you got to buy this program, and you got to buy that, and all this stuff. That's the internet way, right? Buy, me. But when you completely, I took you to it's a new level, and when
that's my co-host, guys.
That's your producer. It's your radio producer. When you take you to a new level, the business comes effortlessly because they just like you. This is we were doing this know, like, and trust thing to a level that I never even knew that term, know, like, and trust. I didn't even know what that was.
I think you pretty much invented
it. I don't know if we invented it. I wouldn't say we invented it because it's been going on probably 2,000 years. I mean,
sure.
Back
called being I think it's called being a good human being. So.
Yeah, I think it's called. No, I think what it's called is having fun with what you do for a living. If you have fun with it, and it all has to do with experiences. And the whole trick is when we walked in the door, I wanted our salesmen and anybody from our company to be liked, where they just wanted to see them. When I used to walk into an office, I made it so I was a reason for them to have an excuse to forget about business. Now we could talk about football or baseball or whatever. Oh, good, Joel's here. I don't have to worry about business for 15 minutes. That was my whole objective. And I did that. And we'd come in and we'd bring some refreshments or stuff. We never walked in empty-handed. We'd always come in with something. And we'd sit down and we'd start talking. And the guy would say to his secretary, hold my calls for 15 minutes. Joel's here. He closed the door. And we would start talking about nothing, garbage, like junk. Like what's going on or who won the baseball game. Nothing.
You build a friendship first, and the business part just kind of naturally flowed from there.
Yeah,
and then I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs go down the route of thinking they need to shove a message down somebody's throat all the time, and in a way of just, hey, take my message, and just cram it down their throat and expect business to come out the other side of it. And I've seen entrepreneurs as well make the mistake, and I like to call them energy vampires. I'll have people that call me up, and they only call me when they want something. And it's like after a while, somebody calls you and stuff like that. I found that, some relationships that I've actually formed, and some guys who are personally mentors of mine, and some people that I've actually hired, have hired me and I've hired them. It's not because of their message that they originally had. It was because of the relationship. It was that meeting somebody in person and learning about them and what they do, and and then seeing how I could serve them first, and not even bringing up the business side of things. And that's what's led to the business, and that's how I've grown my complete business from scratch, really just doing that alone. And it's one of those things where it's really disheartening, and I pick up on it super, super fast when people are on the energy vampire route, because it's so randomly they send you a message, and they're like, hey, could you look at this for me? And it's just kind of well, I haven't heard from you in a year, and you're sending me this. It's like, hey, what's going on with you lately? You know what I mean? It's and then the funny part is that they act like, and I've seen this happen as well, where I've, been working with somebody for a while, and then I said, hey, would you mind like taking a look at something? And all of a sudden they're like, what do you mean? And I was like, I'm busy. And it's just kind of like, oh, and I was never busy all the times that you and I talked about what you were doing, so you find out really fast, and it's very transparent. And I kind of have almost like a little golden rule I look at is when you have somebody and you start talking with them and you realize that you don't have any friends outside of the last 6 months, that they know as business associates, you realize that there might be an issue there, because there's a track record associated with that. I mean, I look at relationships I've had now I just reconnected with a friend of mine, and it was funny. I reached out to her to help her with something, and she and I met in 2009. She turns out she's the #1 small business lender out there for SBA loans in the world, frankly. And I was like, hey, it'd be great to interview for like an upcoming show type thing. And then she's like, here, well, I'm actually speaking at this event next week. Send me over a picture and send me over the stuff, and I'll put you in the presentation. She's talking to a bunch of veterans and stuff. So again, it's like looking for that way to serve. And I know that's what you did with your clients. You connected with them. You're a real person, and you look to position and help your clients first of all, and they knew that about you, and that's really what you did in spades.
But what we had to go with it was we had a real strong business where we actually could fulfill their needs. So you have to have both, but you don't want to promote the second part. People just expect that. They expect you to be good at what you do and be able to do what they want. It's kind of like, God forbid he gets sick, right? You don't ask for the dollar store doctor or the economy doctor. You want who's the best, right?
Yep.
And this is the same concept where in order for all of this that I've talked about to work, you have to be good at what you do, because then it doesn't work. But if you're good at what you do and don't promote it, you become much more attractive to the customers because they find out about you. They know what's going on. They come visit your business. They see what you do. They see how you fill the orders, how you take care of them. Service was always a big thing. Like one of the other things we used to do, which everybody cracked up at, is we always answered our own telephones. Like no matter how busy I was, if the phone rang, I'd pick it up. And I used to kid some of my big customers, if you call me, I'll answer the phone. They say, you're too busy to answer the phone. You don't answer your own phones. I say, yeah, I do. Try it. I said, I'll bet you lunch if you pick up the phone, either me or my brother or my father or one of the principals are going to answer that phone call. So one guy calls my bluff, and I said, hi, this is Joel. Can I help you? And he says, son of a gun, you answer your own phones. I said, I told you we do.
Yes, you owe me lunch, you bastard.
And I said, the reason we do is that's the most important part of the whole day, is when somebody calls you, we think that's important because they want something, and we're going to take care of it. And most people overlook that if, they have, like today, I hate that. There's every which way not to talk to someone. You got voicemail, you got text messages, you got email, and everything else under the sun. And all you have to do, like this morning, we're working with a new client, and we've been back and forth over the phone, and she sends me an email. She likes what we're talking about. So I just pick up the phone, and I said, hey, how you doing? I said, I don't like email. Let's talk about it for a few minutes. We ended up talking about it for a few minutes, and we came to a nice agreement. But that's real business. And that's why I think there's something, that's one of the reasons you talk about money mindset. I think that's one of the reasons more people aren't successful, because they're afraid to have that real human connection that you need to make a sale.
That's 100% correct. And Joel, what's one of the biggest things? Again, there's no failure in life. There's only feedback. But I know it hasn't all been, like I said, peaches and gravy along the way, right? There's been some ups and downs in business, stuff like that. One of the low points you had possibly during the career, where it's something you could actually share and help somebody else out there avoid that lesson.
Well, a lot of it is the fact that sometimes you try things that don't work. And if I take it more to a modern day thing, I think the biggest mistake people make is expecting someone else to teach them something new rather than just rely on what they're good at. For example, like, I don't know how many people have spent tens and maybe more than that, thousands of dollars on all these courses trying to learn all types of new internet skills, where all you should really do is just hire somebody to do it for you. You don't have to waste your time learning stuff that you're never going to be good at anyways, and rely on what you're good at, what brought you to the table. It might be something as simple as just being able to communicate with somebody on the telephone or write an article or whatever you do. But to spend hundreds and hundreds of hours, thousands of dollars, run across the country to all of these seminars is a complete waste of time and money. And usually you don't make any money from it. And then your wife gets mad at you. If you buy one more of those courses, I'm going to kill you. And that's the problem with the internet. And the worst part of it is that the people who, without destroying my whole idea of the internet, most of the people only teach you part of the story. Like, even if you buy a course, well, okay, now I learn how to edit a video, but how do I shoot it? How do I put it together? Before you know it, you're spending a whole year learning something when all you had to do is go out and find out who does this, pay them whatever they're worth, add on your markup, and sell it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You know, it's like a contractor mentality. Like, the majority of products we sold, we bought from other people, managed it, put it all together in a package, made a proposal, and sold it to a client. And where today they've got you on this kick that you can do everything yourself, but you have to go back to school for 2 years to learn how to do anything. And in the meantime, whatever little resource you have, you spent on learning parts of a system that don't make you any money, wasted your time, and got frustrated in the process.
And by the time you actually, what you learned in school, it's already outdated, especially on the online world, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, look at it this way. When you go to grade school, usually you stay in one school from kindergarten through 6th grade or 8th grade, right? And in a lot of cases, you have the same teacher over and over and over again. But on the internet, it's like every 3 months you're going to another school. And you have to keep changing neighborhoods, different bus routes, different buildings, different school. That's an analogy. That's what people do. And after, when I thought about it, that's why I said, this is nuts. I haven't bought a course in months. I just concentrate on what I'm good at.
To concentrate on what you're good at and get an expert for the rest.
And just build it out, and then hire people that I need help with.
Absolutely. And then what, along the way, would you say is like one of the biggest, I would say, possibly things that cost you money or something you learned where it was like, man, this was a crappy situation that you found yourself in?
Well, I'll put it to you this way. Without going into how I found out about it, I realized that one of the sweet spots for what I like to do is to help people take an interview like we're talking about and repurpose it in order to turn it into money. But part of that includes a lot of technology experience, how to take that interview and make it look pretty on the screen and everywhere else. I don't know how to do that. So rather than try to learn how to do that, I found a partner who has a team of 5 people, and anything I can dream up in my head, they can make look pretty on the screen, which is wonderful because I come up with all of these ways of promoting it. They make it look nice, and then I forward it to my customers who love it. We do business. But I don't know, like my son says, Dad, you shouldn't even turn on a computer. It's a waste of time. He says, forget it. Don't even turn it on. Just pick up the phone and start talking to people. Don't even bother. He said, you're wasting your time. Matter of fact, he said, you take it and throw it out the window. You're never going to learn how to use a computer. But that's my generation. And there's a lot of people like that. So now I found people who can tickle the keys, who are tremendous at the technology part, but they couldn't sell their way out of a paper bag. And we put it all together, and now we have a team of people who can service clients and do what they want. That took me,
Absolutely.
and that's old school business. And I could kick myself how much money I wasted trying to learn all this new stuff. I went to seminars, I went to meetings, I went all over the place. And the sum total of it was nothing. But when I
Yeah.
realized what my skills were, and I used my skills, and I just hired people around me to fill in the blanks, which there are plenty, it's starting to work really good, because now when I go talk to someone and I offer them something, I know that our offer is going to be fulfilled and they're going to get the results they want. And that's what's
Yeah.
good.
But line yourself up, guys, Golden Nuggets wise. Line yourself up with the proper team to do the things that it's not your expertise. You know, like me, I'm never going to do my own bookkeeping. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
But
Like
I know that there's bookkeepers out there that's what they love to do.
yeah, or I'm never going to become a graphic artist or an SEO guy. I mean,
Yeah.
it ain't happening. It just ain't happening. You know?
No, absolutely. So, Joe, where's the best place for people to get a hold of you? And I know you've got some.
The
You
best,
got a hell of an
there's two
offer here.
ways. One, my email address is the initial J, Helfer, my last name, HELFER 217 @gmail.com. Or the easiest way to get a hold of me is just to friend me on Facebook. Just like I answer my own phones, I accept the friendships, and then send me a private message, because I find that private messages on Facebook are the closest thing to phone calls, and people answer private messages on Facebook as opposed to emails. It's a much better way of contact. I find every time I send somebody a private message on Facebook, I get a reply, not so much with the emails.
So, with that being said, Joe, I know the offer you shared with me is there any entrepreneurs that want to be interviewed for what their skill sets are? That's something you're willing to offer them to get a hold of you, and you talk about that over at the Main Street Mavericks Radio Show.com.
Yeah, and the nice thing about the interview is I'll be happy to interview them, give them some free publicity and notoriety, and then show them why that's the first step in something that can actually be a very valuable digital asset for them. Just
Absolutely.
like
and anybody that gets an opportunity to take Joe up on offer would be silly not to. First of all, getting a chance to actually spend time with Joel. I mean, you're some of the people you surround yourself by, and just to be able to soak up the knowledge from him. And I know he's got his own podcast where you can go over and listen to all the different interviews he's done with a lot of entrepreneurs and take the golden nuggets away from that. So, Joel, I appreciate you coming on the show today. And again, guys, go to Main Street Mavericks Radio.com, where you can contact him on Facebook directly and get on his show as well if you're interested in getting your message out there to the world.
Thanks a lot, Daryl. I appreciate it. That was fun.
You're welcome, buddy. Bye.